insight, wisdom, directionality, Pythagoras. What have these got to do with numerology? Come and join us on Uplift today. We have Vikki MacKinnon. Illuminating your awareness of numerology is what we are here today to discuss. Welcome to Uplift. Whether you are here live or catching the replay, we appreciate you. Hi, my name's Sarah Wade. I am a co-host of Uplift, art therapist and mum, and having a really good start to the year, and I trust you are too. Joining me, as usual, from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, we have my co-host, Mr. Neil Thrussell. Welcome.
Thank you, Sarah. And it's been a wonderful day. I got to the gym, I got my green smoothie, and as a heart set coach and a mindset coach, life is phenomenal, and I'm really excited. I'm really super excited for our guest today. And I'm going to follow the show format and let Sarah continue, as opposed to me throwing it to the side.
Oh, well, who would have thought the numbers are playing in our favor today, hey? Thanks, Neil. Welcoming our amazing next guest, Mrs. Oh, I have to ask about that. Vikki MacKinnon, welcome, and we appreciate you joining us live from Calgary, also Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on your show tonight.
Oh, well, we're going to talk about a lot of things today, Vikki, but I'm wondering if you can talk about something really important. What is numerology?
What is numerology? Well, let's start with what are numbers, and that leads right into what is numerology. So I used to think numbers were those funny little figures that would tell me how much money I had in the bank or how much weight I gained at Christmas or something like that. I had no idea that what numbers really are is they are powerful centers of energy. They are great cosmic forces that lead us to our highest level of fulfillment and integrity. And numerology is the study of numbers. Numbers are older than language, and every ancient culture had a number symbol system. What is really fascinating about that is that even in the ancient world, when communication wasn't what it is now, by and large, with some variables, those numbers had the same qualities. So a 1 was the beginning. A 3 was about creativity. A 4 was about the land. An 8, love the number 8. An 8 was about money and power and success in your endeavors. So as a numerologist, what I do is I work with people's names and birth dates, and I show them how the numbers, those centers of energy are affecting them every day and in every way. And more importantly, how they can interact and be proactive, engage with that energy in proactive ways to help them to be even more successful than they are.
Oh, powerful. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to hear the rest of this 55 minutes. Oh, I think that all of us have seen recurring numbers before. Is that something to do with numerology, or is that just a random thing that we happen to come across?
Oh, yes. There is no accident. When you see recurring numbers, I hear from a lot of people that see recurring numbers, and I'll get that kind of a question. Well, I keep seeing this number. Does it mean anything? And my answer is absolutely. Of course, it always means something when you see a recurring number. And you look at those numbers, perhaps a number sequence. It's often a triple digit number, 555, 333, that kind of thing. Those recurring numbers bring you guidance. You might be thinking about changes that you want to initiate, and those recurring numbers can help to guide you along and either give you validation or say, just wait for a bit, it's not the right time, or do your investigation, do your homework and find out what you need to know about this move that you're considering making, this choice that you're considering making. And so the recurring numbers can tell you, basically guide you in that regard. So if you see a recurring number 1, you're looking at new beginnings. The number 2 is partnership and collaboration. You might see a number 3 and it's telling you you've got to sing your song and speak your truth. You see a number 4 is saying get out in nature, connect with the land, get yourself grounded and practical. You see a recurring number 5, change is on the horizon. A recurring number 6, take care of yourself and others around you. Recurring number 7, you need time alone. A recurring number 8, pay attention to your resources, your finances. It could be that increase is on the way. A recurring number 9, something needs to be completed, something needs to be released. And then, of course, everybody's favorite, so many people are seeing 1111, and that will generally mean be an indication that the force is truly with you, the universe is with you. It's a powerful number for manifestation, although it can indicate change as well.
Oh, that's my grandma's number, 1111. We always think of my grandmother at that time. And actually at her funeral, exactly at 1111, we had a whole bunch of birds fly over. So every time we see a 28, we think of my grandmother. And I love that it's a positive thing that so many of us see. Is there anything?
Yes. It's also an energy of enlightenment and illumination, and sudden information coming your way, sometimes sudden developments and shifting priorities based on, new and greater understanding.
So curious. I love that we've got all these numbers, and you mentioned before that they predated language, art predated language, masses predated language. We've got so many ways of communicating. When it comes to knowing our own personal numbers, how do we figure that out?
How do you figure that out? Well, there are a lot of books out there. You can go on the internet. I still think it's best if you talk to somebody who is a reputable numerologist, somebody who has studied it, because they can help you to put this in context. Very often I'll see people that say, oh yeah, numerology, I did that online once and I'm a 7. Well, perhaps what they don't understand is that we all have several different numbers, several different centers of energy. Some of those centers of energy support and intensify each other. Some of those centers of energy seem to be opposed to each other. They seem to contradict each other. And when that happens, what they're actually doing is they're balancing each other out. So it's just like in astrology, if all your planets were in Aries, for example, it would be crazy making, That's why on a person's astrology chart, we look at our chart and we see that we have planets in several different zodiac signs, It brings balance to our life. And the same thing with numbers. If everything was 3 or if everything was 6 or whatever number, it would just be too intense, it would just drive you nuts.
Yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So what I always tell people is that the letters in your name, they represent qualities that you came into this life with, that you are refining and perfecting and sharing with others. And the letters in your date tell you about lessons and opportunities and requirements that will come along throughout your life journey. They're about this particular journey from birth to transition. And I find an easier way to say it is your name is about what you bring to life. Your birth date is about what life brings to you.
Oh, that's beautiful. I trust that's been helpful to our viewers. And if you have any questions for Vikki, feel free to pop them in. And if you'd like to give us your name too, we would appreciate that. We've got Samantha saying g'day to us. G'day to you too, Sam. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. Hey, Vikki, question. 2024 mean? Is there anything that we need to know about this
2024.
amazing year?
This is such a fabulous year. Well, my favorite number is 8, and Neil has read my book about 8, so he knows about why it's my favorite number. But anyway, 2024 is an 8 year, and it's a year when we are meant to feel our sense of empowerment. I think we feel a little bit more encouraged that there's things that we can take charge of now. I think we have had a very disempowered, angry society, and I feel that shifting coming along. And of course, astrologers will say, we have the Pluto going into Aquarius, which is huge. But 2024 is an 8 calendar year, and it means that the number 8 is affecting everything, every one of us. And it's not a subtle energy. I always say it comes on like gangbusters. I feel that what we're going to see some trends of people wanting to connect more. I think it's going to be a tremendous year for networking because people are ready, and the word ready actually adds up to an 8 in numerology. People are ready to get out there, to connect with others, and to see what we can create. 8 amplifies and accelerates everything. So it's a time when we can have a greater impact if there's something that's really important to us and that we want to really make a difference. This is a time when we're very well positioned for that in an 8 personal or in an 8 calendar year or an 8 personal year for that matter.
Oh. Yeah. 8 sounds like an absolutely magical number then. Yeah, welcome.
Well, I always call it a magical number, yeah. I also say, it's a don't mess with me kind of a number as well, because they will stand their ground. Yeah.
Oh dear. I think it's curious what numbers we come across and what we perceive of those numbers here. People say, I'm following the signs, or wow, I saw my angel number today. Have you got any suggestions to those who are starting to get into the idea that maybe there's something to this directionality and wisdom?
Well, I would say read about the numbers. There are numerous different books. I didn't have a list of books handy myself, because I wasn't expecting to give you book titles today, but there are numerous good books on numerology. Dan Millman is a great author. The Life You Were Born to Live. He speaks just about life path numbers, but he's an excellent one. My books, The Magic of 8 and Make Today Count, are both about we'll tell you about the energy of numbers, more so than Make Today Count. The Magic of 8 is just about number 8.
And is this book, is it available via your website, or how do we
Amazon. They're available on Amazon. Yeah.
On Amazon, great.
Okay.
I know that Neil's been reading it and has been enjoying it. He's hopefully going to be able to come back and join us soon, but he had so much to say about your writing skills. So from one author to another, I think that's a nice prop.
Yeah.
So as we start to delve further into that number 8, is there anything else that you would like to illuminate us with?
Anything else about? Oh, yeah. Well, it is a number of business and entrepreneurship. It's a number of influence and leadership. It is also a number of fairness, justice, fairness, and karma as well. So I think what you find when the number 8 is, and just like any other number, I love all the numbers. All the numbers bring us gifts and opportunities, and they come with requirements as well. So some of the gifts that we can expect from number 8, well, financial increase is one of the things that we will often have as a theme in an 8 year, especially an 8 personal year, but also in an 8 calendar year. It can occur then. It comes with a lot more responsibility and a lot more productivity required. It's not like the windfall kind of just out of the blue. it will be financial increase based on your own diligence and effort. It will often bring you support from people who are in a position who, admire what you're doing, start to believe in what you're doing, and are in a position to help you move forward with that. And as I mentioned before, opportunities to really make a difference. If there's something that's near and dear to your heart and you feel that it can make a difference to others, this is a great year for that. It's also a harvest. It's a number of harvests. This is a time when we start to reap the rewards, and then for all of us, think about what you've been doing over the past 7 years. And you're reaping the rewards of the diligence and the effort that you've put in, the intention that you've put in, the high-minded intention. So it's a time of harvest. However, if through those past 7 years, people have not been honoring truth and right action, instead of a time of harvest, it becomes a time of karma. And then you're faced with a major reality check and again, bringing things into balance.
Oh, I wonder how hard hitting that was for our audience. Which side of the fence did you fall on there?
I'd like to think I've been on the positive side of the fence. Okay. But yeah, and people who are familiar with the tarot deck will know that in most tarot decks, 8 is the number of strength, the number that we associate with strength. And that would be physical strength, so athletic strength. This is a great year for anybody who's in competitive sports or runs marathons, Neil, or anything. Yeah, anything like that. This is a great year for sports and athletic endeavors. So definitely physical strength, but also mental and emotional strength, strength of character, and strength of purpose. And these are gifts that are given to us in an 8 year, and also requirements as well. It calls upon us to be strong. But I'll often find people that have I do know of clients that I've had that have been ill for perhaps in a 7 year, and then the 8 year comes along, and in the 8 year they start to that's when they really start to get on their feet.
I love that you're sharing this. We've had quite a few people joining us in the conversation saying it's been a huge 7 years for us, and looking forward to the 8th. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, it's just, it's not a walk in the park. It'll test your mettle. Like I said, it requires strength. It will test your mettle, and it will bring you some, influences of competition, perhaps as well. But for the most part, keep the intentions high, keep the focus, and you're going to do well with it.
Oh. So I'm curious then, is 2024 the only time that we'll experience the magic of this number 8, or does it come up in future years as well or elsewhere?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that one. Okay. We have all encountered number 8 throughout our lives, and we will continue to encounter it after 2024 is done. It's just that this year, and particularly in this particular 9 year cycle, it's just been so turbulent that this year it's going to be particularly powerful. But many of us, Sarah, for example, you have the letter or the number 8 in your first name. The letter H carries number 8 energy. Okay, so there are a lot of people that have number 8 already in their name quality, somewhere in their name qualities, or maybe they're born in August, or maybe they're born on the 26th, or maybe they're born in 2006 or something to that effect. They're going to have 8 in their date. But whether you do or not, whether you've got that, oh wow, my daughter was born 8/8/2008. That's very cool.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, 8 life path there for sure. Okay, but whether you've got the 8 in your name or your birth date or not, you're still going to encounter number 8 every 9 years from when our calendar year rolls around to an 8 calendar year, as we did in 2006, 2015, and 2024. Okay, so you're still going to encounter it there. Every 9 years of your life, you're going to have an 8 personal year. Every year of your life, you're going to have an 8 personal month. And you're going to have an 8 personal day every 9 days of your life. So you get lots of opportunities. So after 2024 is done, we'll still all get lots of opportunity to work with number 8.
Fantastic. Are there any requirements to work with this number 8, or is it just a
well, I think we can tell a lot by looking at the configuration of the numeral. The numeral itself tells us as above, so below. And what we put out to the universe in the way of intention and our thoughts and beliefs and positive intentions, the way we treat others, that's what's going to come back to us, as above, so below. And not only that, we have the nature of the numeral here. Not only does it say as above, so below, but it also says keep it circulating. Keep it circulating, keep it flowing. This is energy and it must flow. And finally, the last thing the last requirement I would say is, it tells us what goes around comes around. Okay, so those are some of the overall requirements. And then to interpret that into sort of more practical terms, one of the most immediate and critical requirements is that we must be in integrity. We absolutely must remain in integrity. If we can't remain in integrity, then it's going to. It's karmic. That's when we get the karmic thing going on. Okay. So, and the second requirement is that we have to believe that we're worthy to receive. We're worthy we're worthy to prosper. The third requirement, I'd say, is that 8 is a number of good judgment, and good judgment requires that we practice good, sound money management. Good, not just our money, but our resources as well, how we care for our planet as well. But I consider that to be, in terms of money management in particular, I always say that's adulting 101. Spend wisely, save some, be careful with your money, that kind of thing. Okay, and then expressing gratitude is absolutely critical. Very important that we express our gratitude, and then by keeping it flowing, as we saw with the numeral there, that means give within your means, absolutely, but do give some, don't hoard it all, because when you give, you're showing the universe that you have faith in your never-ending stream of abundance.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of people can resonate with this, and I appreciate you sharing. Are there some actions that we could take maybe to help us to achieve 8?
Well, one of the first things I always think of is I was speaking to a group of businesswomen here a couple of weeks ago, and I said to them, get over being modest.
Oh,
over being modest. Acknowledge and celebrate your accomplishments. Make a list of your successes. Give yourself that pat on the back and say, hey, I couldn't have done it without me.
I love that. I couldn't have done it without me either. I wonder if anybody else can relate. If you can relate, let us know.
Yeah. So many of us feel like, especially Canadians. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the Australian mindset, but you may find the same way, that you feel like you don't want to appear too boastful or anything, but it's all right. It's okay to acknowledge your accomplishments. Is when you run into trouble is if in doing that you're diminishing others, and you don't want to diminish other people. Okay.
Yeah, in Australia we call that tall poppy syndrome. You don't want to be seen as the one who's boastful of themselves. Oh no, other people first. Yeah, that's interesting. You were saying.
Yeah, okay, so practicing prosperity consciousness as well. I do apologize for the poor quality of the video here. I think it's because it's nighttime, and the lighting in the office here obviously isn't good enough. But anyway, practicing prosperity consciousness, be happy for people who have acquired wealth and prosperity just through their own honest effort, just through being a good person and working and contributing. They deserve to be wealthy. And if you go around and you say, oh, gee, it must be nice, or I wish I could be like that, you're separating yourself. You're not being energetically connected to them. So instead of that, you just say, hey, that's for me. That's for me too. That's one thing that famous Louise Hay said in her books. One thing that I love to do is save coins in a glass jar or a crystal dish, and watch those beautiful coins accumulate. And that's just a visual reminder that you are wealthy. I mean, you want to have savings elsewhere as well, but just when you have that visual reminder where that you're seeing every day, as this little collection of coins grows for you, that's a great way to feel.
I used to make, you go to like a $2 shop or you can get the fake money. And I used to make roses for myself out of the fake money. And I'd make a nice, beautiful bouquet of all this money to invite it into my life. I used to have a bad connotation with money, shall we say. And I've been working over the years.
That is wonderful practice. And there are so many different rituals. And a lot of people have rituals that I've never heard of, like, for example, what you were just sharing. But it's, the intention that you put in and the consistency with which you do it as well. Being consistent is really, really important to work that energy of 8, and systematic and, and just sticking with it. Using language that supports what your goals are. I just feel so strongly that language is so important. It's the most important thing in what you say especially about yourself and about your conditions and your life situation. And that can either diminish. It will either diminish you or it will help you expand and grow. Okay, so
that's fun that you actually talked about that, because in your book, in chapter 6, you actually use words cast spells.
Yeah, they do. They cast spells. I guess maybe I'm a school teacher originally, so yeah. So spelling is important, but yes, words cast spells.
And that's fun, because when I was reviewing the book and I got to this chapter, you actually shared a story of how you manifest, or how you used, I don't want to give it away, but apparently you met the President of the United States using words. How is this possible?
I did. It was 2009. Barack Obama was making his first ever trip outside of the country as the new president of the United States. And fortunately, Canada was honored to be his destination. So he came to Ottawa for a day. My son lived in Ottawa at the time, and I would go very often. I had gotten to know a lot of people there. I was doing workshops there and doing readings from a little store and that kind of thing, And I had planned a workshop for February of 2009. And my clients, my friends and colleagues would say, well, when are you going to Ottawa? And I'd tell when I was going. And they'd all say, well, you'll be there at the same time as the president. And I'd say, oh, yeah, well, I know. Of course I will. We're having coffee together in the marketplace. In Ottawa, the historic marketplace is the real, at that time, it was the trendy place to go, to the Byward Market, and have coffee. So anyway, yeah, I know we're having coffee in the marketplace. That was always, I said that tongue in cheek for probably about 3 weeks before I left. Even the very last day, I'm getting to the airport. The young fellow took my bag for me, put it on the conveyor belt, and he asked me where I was going. And then he said, well, say hello to the president for me. And I said, oh, of course I will. I'm having coffee with him tomorrow. So the next day I'm walking around Ottawa and you could see security people all around. You see police cars, helicopters overhead. And I was walking around very close to Parliament buildings. And then I came out of the big downtown shopping center, and I could see that the police were standing almost shoulder to shoulder. And I thought, that motorcade is coming along really fast, really soon here. But darn it, this was February, and Ottawa gets cold in February. And not only that, nobody interferes with my afternoon cup of coffee, you know. So I walked over to the Byward Market to buy my cup of coffee, and I'm sitting there drinking, you know, sipping my coffee, and he wasn't there. And of course I'm sitting there thinking, well, I guess I'll have to tell everybody he stood me up, you know. And I had just taken the last sip of coffee, just put my cup down, and all of a sudden 3 police cruisers roared up to the building, and you could hear the helicopters overhead, you know. And next thing I knew, I was standing in a line shaking hands with Barack Obama. So that was quite the experience for me. Yeah.
Talk about manifestation.
Yeah, I know. Well, it turned out that I was talking to somebody the next day who said her husband was part of the security detail, and it kind of freaked them all out when he decided he wanted to come to see the market. But it's a historic place, and, you know, happened place. And not only that, he wanted to take home some treats from the marketplace for his girls, because he was president of the United States, but he was also a dad, and he was buying treats to take home for his girls.
Oh,
Cool. And so that story simply illustrates the power of words. Even though Vikki was using it very tongue-in-cheek and very offhanded, when you have the intention and your life is on purpose and on track, you can manifest so much. So that's cool.
You speak it into existence. That was a phrase I just heard yesterday, listening to a YouTube video. Speak it into existence. And not only that, be careful what you're saying, because you're speaking it into existence, whether you realize it or not.
I noticed that when you held up your book, you had a lot more tabs, little sticky tab notes than yours than I do. But I haven't finished reading it or absorbing it all yet.
Yeah, my husband has been typing little quotes from the book for me so that I can post them every so often on Facebook.
Oh, what a good man. Hey, I've got a question for our audience. What are you speaking into existence? Well, we've just heard from Vikki about how she manifested coffee with the president. What are you speaking into your existence? We'd love to know.
So, author to author, Vikki. So, did you just wake up one Saturday morning and go, I've got nothing better to do. Why don't I write a new book? Or was it a little more involved than that?
It was a little more involved than that. I actually had the magic of 8 rattling around in the back of my head for more than a decade. It's like, I got to write this book. I've got to write this book. And I had done a couple of, a few times I had done a workshop here in Calgary and also in Ottawa, called The Magic of 8, where I had, you know, I had done a workshop based on these ideas. And so it was there in the back of my head. I felt that the universe wanted me to write this book. And it just seemed the right time. I have 5 grandchildren, and they are emerging adults now. The oldest is 22, and 20 and 18 and so on. So, you know, I just felt like that was my big why. I was thinking about these young people in my life and trying to help them get off to a solid footing. I mean, I think of those early years as our foothold years, you know, trying to launch ourselves in the very adult world that can sometimes be quite overwhelming. And, you know, so that was the big why. But, you know, I really wanted to help anyone, you know, regardless of what age, you know. It just helped me to focus on some people that I knew, but I wanted to help everyone. And it's just like the universe was not going to let me go until I wrote this book.
That's
So
wonderful.
does that mean that the book is aimed at all ages, or is there a really specific age that you sort of had in mind that your audience would be?
I was thinking that young people could benefit from this, but I've had so many stories from people of all ages, you know, people in their 70s, 60s, and so on, right through, that are saying, yeah, they're benefiting from it as well. So, and that's a wonderful thing, because basically, like Neil, I want to make a difference. I want to help people. So.
And what I really love, like Vikki has written a previous book, and we'll let her explain the other book, but I had assumed without reading it that it was closer to her first book. So I was really pleasantly surprised when she explains the magic of 8 and the numerological significance of it, but then she's she's dishing out how to really make this use your magical 8-year. Like, there's power of gratitude. Like, the magic of 8, how does gratitude get involved in it? But yet it's there, and it's such an important part in personal development to be grateful. So the book, if I'm going to just see if I can find it and drop a link in here, but the book is available on Amazon, or you can connect with Vikki directly to get her book. But yeah, it's available on Amazon. So you were inspired to write this, but was it divinely guided to pick your chapters, or was it you had to do a little bit of thinking to it?
Well, you know, actually, I had the chapters in mind. As you know, Neil, I've divided it into 2 parts: as above, so below. Just like the numeral 8, as above, so below. The as above is all the metaphysical pieces, like the gratitude, like the, you know, the positive thinking, and like believing yourself worthy, and all of the metaphysical, spiritual pieces. And then the so below is okay, here are some handy ways that we can bring these metaphysical ideas right down to, you know, our modern everyday life and the things that we're concerned with, you know. So money management, there's a chapter on that. There's a chapter on saving, a chapter on spending, a chapter on networking, you know, because that's really important. You know, connecting, how to connect with others, connect to contribute, connect to inspire, connect to learn, and showing up, the importance of showing up, and the importance of integrity. So I divided it into those 2 parts, and I felt all the way through writing this book, I really felt divinely guided. I really felt like I was a conduit.
So, thank you. So I had alluded to that you had another book, and it's called Make Today Count.
That's right. Yeah.
So what is that about?
Okay, with Make Today Count, here I've got it right here. Make Today Count, and it's take charge of your time and your life with numerology. And basically, what I wanted to touch on here was the temporary vibrations, the personal year, the personal month, and the personal day. Because what I had found is that most of the numerology authors that I'd read, if anything at all was written about the personal day, it was very brief. It was just a little paragraph. And that's not to slam other numerology authors in any way. I think perhaps the universe had in mind that that was my assignment. I gave the biggest part of the book over to explaining the influence that your personal day can have on you, how you can be proactive with it, what are some of the pitfalls that you might want to be aware of, and what are some of the ways that you can approach that personal day if, you know, maybe you need to talk to your teenager because of a big issue at home, or you know, or maybe you've got some kind of tricky situation. What's a good day to approach that with regards to, you know, your what your partner or your teenagers or your kids are going through, and how you incorporate your knowledge and understanding of the numerical energy into your relationships and strengthening your relationships rather than causing discord.
So a personal day is different than my birthday. So I get another day to celebrate me?
You should celebrate yourself every day. But yeah, a personal day is different from your birthday. You have a person, as I said earlier, you have a personal year that starts every year on your birthday. Some numerologists say it starts on January 1st, and others say it starts on your birthday, and I'm in that particular camp because that's personal, your solar return kind of thing, you know. And then from your personal year, you can determine you add the number of your personal year plus the number of the calendar month, and that will tell you what your personal month is. And for that 30-day period of time, that's the influence around you. And then you add your personal month to the current calendar day, and that will tell you what your personal day is. And is it a good day to go for an interview? Is it a good day to go to the hairdresser? Is it a good day to go and do my banking or see my financial planner? And, you know, and that's what I tried to explain. I like to bring it down to earth and keep it practical and keep it something that people can work with. And you know, it doesn't have to be all esoteric and woo-woo. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you can really make good practical use of those numbers when you know how numbers work and how you can work with them. Take you from a place of uncertainty and confusion and into a much more calm, efficient way of living your life.
That was that insight, wisdom, and directionality that we spoke about at the beginning of the show, right? Go ahead, Neil. What were you going to say?
So, Vikki, how did you go from school teacher to numerologist? It's like, I don't, you know, to sharing the wisdom of numerology, and because you're passionate about both. But how did you go from teacher to choosing to share numerology now?
Well, I had actually learned about numerology. I had actually discovered it probably about I think it was 23 years before I retired from teaching, and I was unwell. It was a 5 personal year, which can be a year of upheaval, and I became unwell, and there was an opportunity for me to take an early pension early retirement package, I guess is what I was trying to say. So it just felt like it was time, and I thought I might go into doing Reiki for people, and I had taken the course, and I actually am a Reiki master. But the universe made it very clear very quickly after retirement that no, I was to do numerology, and that was all I was to do. None of this multiple modality stuff, you know, numerology. You may have heard the term, Neil, MMD, multiple modality disorder.
Yes, many people have it. Yes.
Yeah. And again, that's not to criticize people that have taken multiple modalities either. There are some people that do a wonderful job, you know, and but you know, I was just told and guided very quickly that it was to be numerology and nothing but, you know.
So when I was reading this, and in your chapter 5, it says work with the law of attraction. What really got me going, and I was really excited. Start working. This is a quote for the chapter studying. Start working the magic of 8 when you start working the magic of 8 when you live with intention. That just was like, ooh, I love that. So it was like, and I think that's what it's in anything in life. Life really begins when you start living with intentions, in my book.
Otherwise, it's all by default.
Yes.
You know, if it's not by intention, it's by default, and that's when things happen to you instead of for you, or you have the feeling that things are happening to you instead of for you.
Makes sense. Hey, Vikki, if I was to go and see a numerologist, what questions would or should I ask them?
Oh, wow. Numerology encompasses all of life. So if it's about, if there are, say, relationships are at the top of your mind, then you might ask, does it look like there's a relationship on my horizon here, or how can I best prepare myself to be a good partner in a relationship? That's one thing that numerology can tell you. For myself, I think the biggest thing about numerology for me was it was really important to me to have something to share. I used to joke about, my talents are hidden. I don't have any talent. I've got so many talents and they're all hidden. I don't know what they are, kind of thing. And going and connecting with numerology and learning about it, discovering what the number, especially the name qualities, really helped me to see, well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I really am that way, and yes, I have this gift or that gift to share. And I think that's a tremendous thing that you can learn from your numbers. And I have met many people. I think one of the saddest things I ever encountered was there was a lady in her 60s and she was still grieving her empty nest. She hadn't learned how to be her own person and how to celebrate herself and bring forward her gifts and share them with others. And so I helped her with that, and we got her past that, and she seemed to be happier with herself and her contribution.
So if people wanted to catch up with you to talk about this further, would they go here to numerology.SHOW.ca?
That would appear to be the best way. I do have a Facebook page. My Facebook page is called Know Your Numbers, and that's the way it shows up. And yet, when we try to Google it, and as Neil just tried, it said Vikki got your numbers. So I'm assuming that would take you to that page as well, and you can get, connect with me through the inbox there.
And if we go to the Amazon website that's on the screen, will we get all of your books or just the one?
Oh, yeah, both my books are up there on Amazon. Thank you.
Yep. And Vikki doesn't bite. And the point is, Vikki actually over delivers. So she's if you book, whether she's going to over deliver, and you're going to go like, oh my goodness, I have so much to absorb. You still put out your newsletter, Vikki?
I do. Yes, thank you for mentioning that, Neil. I hadn't been doing it for a while, and then this summer I was guided to get back into the habit of doing the newsletter once a month. So yes, and I actually teach a class as well, and I'm going to be teaching a course right here in Calgary. And eventually, I've had to make a promise to myself and others that I will get it online as well, so people from other countries and other parts can join in.
So how do we get onto your network? How do we get your newsletter?
Okay, again, use numerology.SHOW.ca. Send an email so that and just put sign up in the subject area, and for sure we'll get you signed up for the newsletter.
Excellent.
Thank you for sharing. Goodness me, I don't know about you, but I've enjoyed this show. I've enjoyed learning about how much directionality numbers actually do have, and I trust that you, the viewer, have too. If you would like to reach out and contact Vikki, we highly recommend you do. It's been a fantastic show, and I'm wondering, is there anything that you wish people asked you about numerology that you've yet to answer on an interview or in a book, or maybe to the president?
Well, I would just like to let people know that we all have several different numbers in our profile. We're not just one number, And, you can't really take the numbers in isolation. It's fun to look at them that way, and they can tell you a lot, but it's really much more informative if you get all of your numbers done from your name. We have 7 or 8 calculations that we do just on a name alone, and then from your date as well.
So you were going to talk about, so I was born on the 16th day. So what is the 16th day mean?
Oh, the 16th. Well, that's a 7. And what that indicates, Neil, is that you would be have good, solid analytical qualities. You would be a studious individual, gathering knowledge, gathering information, but not just for the sake of having all these little factoids up here, but more for the sake of transforming, because it's an alchemical process of transforming knowledge into wisdom. The 16th is a 7, as I said, very spiritual and very intuitive kind of energy. And you'd be a good problem solver. That would be your superpower.
Oh boy! And so I'm going to out my co-host here, because she's a 31.
Okay, she's a practical one, grounded, and probably, Sarah, you enjoy being out in nature. That would be really, you have a strong affinity with Mother Earth. That's important to you. Practical and base camp is important to you. You'd be the kind of person who would want things kind of organized and systematic in your base camp. Okay. And I would say that your superpower, then, that would be the ability to set and accomplish incremental goals. You understand that whole process, the way things are a part of a process, So.
Oh, you're speaking my language. It's like you know me.
I know. I get a lot of wow, or, sometimes I'll get men that'll come, well, did my wife tell you about me?
So on that then, do people not trust the process at times when they come to see you because of your keen insight?
I'm sorry. Do you mind saying that? I'm not really good with accents. I'm very sorry, Sarah. Can you say that?
No, yeah. Because of your insight and the way that you're able to pinpoint things, do you find that people distrust you?
That they distrust me?
Yeah.
No, I find a lot of people really, actually, they trust me a lot, and I take that very seriously. I think it's a privilege and it's a responsibility, and I just take it very, very seriously.
We appreciate you sharing. Hey, Neil, just quickly, I can't produce at the moment. I'm handing the ball over to you.
Yep, it's all good. Yep. Okay. So, Vikki, if you could educate people in numerology on one concept before to wrap up, what would it be? Is there like the magic of 8? What's one thing that you would love for everybody to know that you haven't shared on the magic of 8?
That you are powerful. You have the power. Every one of us has the power to create magic for ourselves. We have to believe that we are worthy, and honor ourselves. And as we honor ourselves, to do our best for others as well. I always like to end my talks by saying, love yourself a little more each day and you'll be happier and healthier. Love others a little more each day and the world will be happier and healthier.
Oh, wonderful. So are you manifesting to meet anyone else? Like you met the president, who's next on your to meet? Like when Dr. John DeMartini, when you meet him, he has a binder of all the people that the celebrities and that he's met. So he actively tries to manifest meeting like people, interesting people of interest that he's seen on YouTube, whatever, and he actively creates that manifestation to it, and it works. Are you actively manifesting?
I'm afraid I'm not. I'm certainly not actively manifesting any one person right now. I many years, well, going on 30 years ago, I manifested a wonderful man that came into my life. I was a single mom for 9 years, and and it was pretty special. And I used to with that, I used to sort of visualize what this person would be doing. I kind of visualized that, oh, maybe he's out golfing now and sitting down and having a little drink with his friends, or maybe he's working now and that kind of thing. So I think I kind of drew him in.
No leaving that one to chance. That's an important decision to make. Yeah.
That was important. That's right. Yeah.
And you and the universe did a wonderful job, because David is an exceptional man.
Yeah, he's really special. Yeah. Yeah.
Sarah, anyone or thing or person you're trying to manifest in?
Only me. I'm concentrating on me at the moment, and I say only in inverted commas because, as Vikki mentioned before, it's the most important person in our lives. So at the moment, I'm working on growing myself and being my best self, and I think that's something that everybody here can relate to. And if you can, shout out. And Neil, are you working on anything or anybody in particular?
If I was to meet someone like Vikki, I'd love to meet Jordan Peterson. Ooh, just be in a coffee shop, sit down, have a conversation with him. Does he have to be in my life? No, but if, like Vikki's still excellent sharing of meeting the president, if something's going to happen, I'd choose Jordan Peterson right now.
I'm working on manifesting. I guess my entire manifestation throughout the summer when I was writing was just sort of manifesting the book, basically, and manifesting, really positive response and wide, positive sales numbers for the book, because I feel like it's an important message, and I want people to feel empowered and encouraged, and that they can do this.
Oh my goodness, I'm looking at the time and it's like, holy heavens to Betsis, Batman. We're at the end. So I'm like, I'd love to leave with you, to our viewers, our listeners, whether you're live or replay, to know that you are worthy of all your dreams. So all I ask is you go out and take a tiny step towards achieving those dreams, and believe that all things, or begin to believe, and then learn to believe and believe that all things are possible. Is there anything that you would like to leave our viewers or listeners with, Vikki?
Well, just again, that you have the power to create magic. So it's, as Neil said, you have the power to create magic. You are worthy, and you are precious and unique, and everything about you is enough.
I love that. Hey, we appreciate you coming in and joining us today, Vikki. Neil and I are fighting over producing. And we absolutely love the gifts that you've shared with us. I know that we have had so many viewers relate. And if you're watching this in replay, please feel to share the love. We appreciate you. For me, my personal mantra, and actually my hashtag and all the things, is design the life you desire. I think there's so much that we can illuminate about our personal power in so many ways. So go out there and dive into new things, like explore what feels right for you. And until next time, we look forward to seeing you. Take care. Design the life you deserve. You're worth it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.